We're going up and down, over and over. It's the same old thing. Up and down, over and under.
Awesome, man. Well, Prince, welcome to the show. I'm pumped to have you on today.
Man, I'm pumped to be here, Ken. I really do appreciate it, man. This is awesome.
Absolutely. And you're on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm in San Diego, California.
Oh,
yeah. But right now it's pretty hot, man. It's pretty hot. So, but it's still a beautiful area.
Yeah. If you got to be hot. Well, I know, and I saw that there's those crazy heat waves, and now people are losing power, and then the wildfires are starting.
Yes,
but man, San Diego sure is nice,
right? I was like, you can have all that. I'll still take San Diego.
Yeah, I'll just stay closer to the shore while it's going down.
Right, if the fire comes and run into the water, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, man. Well, dude, I'm so pumped to have you on the show today. I remember watching you play in college. First of all, let me start by saying that.
Oh, come on, man, come on.
And I know, and I know we're going back a little bit, but I honestly, when I saw the stat. Because you still hold the record for most rushing yards in a bowl game, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm 90% confident I was watching that game.
The bowl game,
I was like, oh my God, like I watched that game. I remember that game. So anyways, man,
that's
it's awesome.
Man.
Awesome to have you on the show. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
But I think I would be doing you a disservice if I only talked about your athletic accomplishments because you're working on some pretty cool stuff right now. We were just catching up before the show.
Yeah.
And you got a book coming out, right?
I have a book coming out. It's called Mindfulness for the Ultimate Athlete, Mastering the Balance Between Your Power and Peace.
Awesome. So, I guess without giving away everything that's in the book, what is kind of like the key objective here, right? Is it using mindfulness to kind of enhance your ability as an athlete? Is there, you say the ultimate athlete, so is it a bit more comprehensive than even that?
Yeah. Well, the objective is to teach athletes how to tap into their energy. And I'm not talking about the ENERGY, but the INNER capital G, their energy, their inner good, their inner God, their inner goddess, their inner genie. Their ability to make things manifest and crystallize. And it's like their inner genius that is constantly looking to express itself. And so whenever you learn how to look within yourself, then you start to realize that nothing is impossible unless you truly believe it is. And as kids, we're taught like you can be anything that you want to be. You can have anything. You can do anything. Yeah. And then you become an adult and just like, you can't do that.
Yeah. Like you can maybe be an accountant or join the laborers union. But,
exactly.
No, we were just trying to get you through elementary school.
Exactly, man. So, it was pretty awesome. I had a really good career. Played with the Baltimore Ravens for three years. But shortly after that, man, I had a self-identity crisis. I was discharged prematurely due to injuries. And self-identity crisis, suicidal ideation, a suicide attempt. And but luckily I was able to attend a monastery and spend some time there and rehabilitate myself. And so while I was there, I tapped into my energy. I actually, had a very small glimpse of enlightenment, but it wasn't just one time. It happened over the years, and so I developed a practice for mindfulness and meditation, and I've been practicing it for 12 years, man, and I've just been a student of that practice, of this 10,000-year-old practice, that's been around. And in practicing it, I developed some of the skills and also just been exposed to things that we don't even think about at all. And so after I was able to find some clarity, after being stuck in a dark space, man, I was able to see the light. Yeah. And I just decided I need to write I wanted to write a book, but I didn't know exactly what to write a book about. And I thought it was perfect for me to be able to write a book about an athlete reaching their ultimate level of success, or just reaching their ultimate level of whom they are. And I didn't get a chance to show people what my ultimate looked like, what my greatness looks like.
Oh yeah.
But I just figured out the game of football, the X's and O's. Like, I just discovered the offense. And so I got bored, and I started going to the defensive rooms, and I started figuring that out. And, just being in the meetings with the quarterbacks, just to understand the whole offense, because my brain started picking up on things like it was nothing. And so I had to be able to apply that on the field. Yeah. And once I increased my speed, which I speak about in the book, about the last puzzle piece for me to go from a 4.5 to a 4.2 in 6 weeks. It was just these little small exercises that I did. It's these small exercises that I did to help with that, and I did them religiously. And like either
everyone listening is like, send me those exercises.
I know, right? I mean, you get the book, you'll get those.
Hold on, buy the book, folks.
Yeah, buy the books, right? Exactly, man. But like these exercises, man, they were the missing piece to my core, and that was the one thing. Everyone. When I was younger, I thought the core was just the abs. And not understanding that you got the abs, you have the obliques, you have the groin, you have the hips, the lower back, all of these muscles. Yeah. And I did not understand that. But the minute I started practicing these exercises, oh man, I mean, it just changed everything for me. And the things in my head was like, you can run faster than this, but my body wasn't. My body was not mechanically prepared to be able to generate that much speed. Yeah. And until I started working on these core exercises.
And that's a real thing, right? Like, I mean, that's proven. It's like you almost have like a limiter or a governor. It's like your muscles will actually like inhibit it, and your brain will inhibit your muscles from firing as fast and as strong as they actually can. Right. Yeah, I mean, which is just crazy in itself. Right. I mean, it's trying to protect the body from injury, but
exactly.
I love the way you said it. I was like, no, I know I can go faster. It's like I just got to get my body on board,
exactly,
so we can make this happen.
Yeah, and then it was just one day. I could feel it. I could feel it was my body. How. It just seems like everything was put in place properly. Just from doing the core exercise. And as time went on, what I realized was that that's what we are. We are our core. These are just our extremities, and so the more you can strengthen the core, because everything that we do, we have to come back to the core, even in life, that's applicable in life. Whenever you go away from home, but you come back to home because it's the core. It's your core,
Yeah, you're like foundation.
Yeah. Exactly. Same thing for your body. You get away from your core. You get away from doing sit-ups, lower back, good mornings, exercises. You get away from that, and you start realizing, like, man, something is not right. And so when you start working on your core, it's the foundation for you. And so when I started working on my core, I started to realize how I was walking. I was walking upright. I was like a matador. Not a matador.
Oh yeah. The centaur? No.
Is it a centaur?
People are gonna kill me because my daughter's gonna kill me. Right. There's so much Harry Potter watched in my house.
Exactly.
Centaur? Man, Anyway, people will know. People will scream at me in the comments.
Exactly. But I was walking upright, and it felt funny because I was just like, why am I walking like this? I felt like I was walking like the guy off of the 300, the Egyptian prince or whatever.
The Persian.
The Persian prince. There you go. Exactly. But what I realized that all my muscles were in the proper place, and from there, like my legs were able to run as fast as I imagined, and I was swift. I just developed speed and quickness over the time, and just started gaining everyone's respect on the Ravens defense, because we had the number one defense. So
this happened in the NFL.
It's happening in the NFL. Yeah, in college, it was just raw potential, just trying to figure out, like how to get to the next level. From actually being a walk-on at Georgia
that's what
Tech.
I was going to ask you, which is, I did not realize it was so fascinating. I mean, because you ended up all ACC, drafted. So, okay, maybe if you don't mind, we could talk about that a little bit as well. Yeah.
Most definitely. Where do you want me to start?
Oh, no. Well, I mean, like, and while that story is fascinating, you said something earlier that I almost feel like it would be a disservice if I skipped over it. You know, when you ended playing, you said that you almost went through this, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, identity crisis. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me, right? I think a lot of folks sometimes, there's that dated perception that a jock was just always, not a stud in the classroom. He was just a stud on the field, and that was his only kind of like avenue in life.
Right.
But for you got into Georgia Tech on your own without football.
Correct.
An incredible engineering school. Right. An incredible school.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know if I would have expected you to have that same kind of like identity crisis that I imagine a lot of athletes have when they feel like, shoot, this was the only thing I'd put all my eggs in.
Right.
I put my eggs in this basket. Now it's gone. But it seems like you, I would imagine, probably had a lot of potential to do a lot of different things. So what was the cause of that identity crisis?
Well, the cause of that identity crisis was I just figured out the game. I just figured out it was like I just entered the matrix, where the game slowed down for me, and I sped up. And not just that, but like, as I said, my brain wrapped around the game. Like a 500-page playbook shrink down to 15 pages for me. Because I started realizing, just like, you can only run to the right and to the left so many times and up the middle so many times. But when they call these personnels, just line up in a different position. I was just like, oh, that's simple. Okay. And now these pass plays, you can only throw it to the left, to the right, to the middle. Oh, and then it's a scheme. Oh, and then we're trying to create a triangle to create levels, because there's inches in the game. And man, and from there, it just all clicked. And I had a great coach who I consider him a great professor, because the way that I broke down everything was, I was doodling in my notebook one day, just wasn't really paying attention. And but because when I was at home, I was studying and not knowing that this was actually helping me, because every once in a while, Coach Brian Billick, he would chew me out. And I was like, oh, man, this is not cool. He just chewed me out in front of everybody. It's just like, get your fucking shit together, PJ. I'm sorry, but, not even to use profanity. But he's cursed me out. And I would take it really hard. But my running back coach, Wilbur Montgomery, and what's my other coach? He's gonna kill me if I don't remember his name. Oh my goodness. Anyway, my other running back coach at the time,
who we care about just as much.
Exactly. He played in the NFL as well.
Okay.
Tampa. He used to always tell me, he's just like, hey man, just because he's shouting at you, though, it doesn't mean nothing. That means he likes you. I was like, where do they do that at? I'm gonna shout at you because I like you.
The one I always heard too was like, hey, the day I stop yelling at you is the day you know that I don't care.
Exactly. I was like, it doesn't make any sense.
I guess. Exactly. I get it, but I'm also like, well, can't we just maybe talk it through? But,
exactly. Like I'm really good at just being in a real peaceful environment. You just telling me some information, I can download it.
Yeah, exactly.
So he would get on me, and I would be at home, and I would spend my spare time doing sit-ups and reading plays. Because what I had a problem with was it wasn't a problem in the classroom. It was a problem applying the information that I learned in the classroom on the field.
Yeah.
So I had to mimic something where I was exerting energy, but at the same time I was using my mind to be able to be able to transfer the information that I downloaded earlier.
Oh, see, that's really interesting. And I've actually thought about this, right? Because you're right. It's completely different in a calm, peaceful environment. Maybe you got a little Colby Calais in the background. You're studying your plays. Everything's easy. You don't forget, right? But then it's like when you start moving, you start getting tired. It's like, Right. And I love that, if I'm understanding it correctly, like you were working out while studying your plays so that there was like some form of like exertion happening while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same simulation when you get on the field.
Right.
That was my only thing. Like I get a play. Plus they play me at three positions. They play me at running back, they play me at wide receiver, and they would put me at fullback or F back, to come out the backfield and catch the ball. But I was playing three positions, so you can only imagine. Like my mind was just like, whoa, okay, all right. I need to focus. I need to bring this all together. And so, when you have that much responsibility, your brain is just running extremely fast. And so I would get on the field, and they would call a play, and I would run in. And I'm like, all right, I'm playing running back, wide receiver, or F back. Okay, all right. So, all right. And then if I'm playing wide receiver, I got to line up on the line and remember my route, but then also read the defensive coverage. I was just like, oh man. And so my first time playing wide receiver was in the NFL. And so, so now my mind is just like, okay, what route do we have? And then on top of that, what defense are you reading? Is it a zone or is it a man? This is like, hey, Mark Clayton. Hey, what's the play? What's the play? What route do I have? Okay, here we go. Let's go.
As if it's not complex enough, you got to learn it three different ways.
Three different ways, man. And so, the awesome thing was just my mind grabbed all that information and it distilled it and in a way of just like, this is just X's and O's. Don't be concerned. As long as you continue to keep studying your plays, you'll be ahead of the game. And so I started doing that. And eventually I became a student of the game. And from there, I was able to figure things out and navigate myself through unexpected situations. So which allowed me to elevate my game so much that it was just like, wow, like, is this guy taking something? Like, what are you doing that's different, than everyone else? And but one of the things that I want to mention is that it wasn't just me working on these core exercises that allowed me to gain my speed. It was my mind saying, I should say my spirit saying that you could run faster than this. And now I kept hearing that, and I believed that. So one of my other good running back friends as well, his name is Corey Ross. He played for the University of Nebraska. We had agreed upon every day when we come out to practice that we're going to go so hard because we got an opportunity to play against the number one defense in the NFL. Yeah. So when you think about it, when we play against number 2, the number 3, the number 23, we're going to have a field day on those days.
It's going to feel like JV.
Exactly.
Like, there's no Ray Lewis over there.
Exactly. We had They had a stacked defense. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed,
oh my God,
Samari Rowe, Chris McAllister, DeJuan Landry, Haloti Nanta, Kelly Gregg. Oh man, so
the Ravens were sick,
man. And so to be able to have the opportunity to go against them each and every day, I just knew that I was going to be one of the best running backs in the league. Man, I mean, there was no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind, because you can just see the recipe for success. Yeah, you can see it. And then when we're in practice, I'm going super hard, so it forces them to go hard as well. Right. And I'm actually being very elusive to get away from the defense and go score touchdowns on the number one defense, you know, in the NFL. So it was just an opportunity for me to improve my game. And once I started seeing that, wow, these individuals are helping me improve my game, then I started realizing, like, oh, I really can't be stopped. And so, I never had the opportunity to show everybody, because, so that's where the identity crisis came from. So you got injured? I got injured. So my first year, they didn't think I was ready to play as a rookie. So I was still on the active roster, but I was inactive. The next year, they tell me, your role is bigger, so get ready for that. I hurt my hamstring right before the season start, because I only had one gear. Hamstring. And if I had a mentor that told me, it's okay to gear it down, you have your spot. I was constantly trying to prove something to everyone. Mm-hmm. What's on one hand allowed for me to excel at such a accelerated pace. Yeah. But on the other hand, it hurt me because I didn't know when to gear down, when to slow down. Right. When to dial it back a little bit. Yeah. So, and plus I didn't have no emotional intelligence. So, what do you mean by, what do you mean by that? The emotional intelligence. Well, it's a game. We're in a business, like it's no longer a game really. Right. And so you have all of these other ancillary things that come along with the game of football when you're in this professional sport. And so you're thinking about just like, am I going to make the team? I'm not a superstar yet. No one really knows my name. I don't know what to think about me upstairs. There was just a lot of things going on in my head. And so the only thing that I knew was just be quiet and just do the work and just have that dog mentality. Like, no matter what, I'm not going to be the X-Man. I'm not going to be the one that's out. I'm going to be the one that's in. So by any means necessary, let's make this happen. Yeah. And I did that, but I just needed some finessing, or just like a mentor to teach me, like, okay, it's okay to ease up a little bit, and this is the time to ease up. I was just all about, let's go. Like, I fear no man on this field. Yeah. They put their pants on just like me, and I go toe to toe with them. I do not care how big they are, who they are. Right. But the cool thing was the defensive guys were my friends. That was a mentality that I had, like they were, like I just knew that they were dogs. And so, that's how I am. 400 pound person in front of me. I'm looking at him like, well, let's go. I'm gonna give you all that I got. and exactly. And, afterwards, everyone will always give me my respect. They were just like, man, much respect, man. Like, you got heart, man. I like you. I can play with you all year. And so that was who I was, man. I just never backed down. I'll never forget. Quick story, and then I'll let you. No, man, I love it. I'll never forget. We were playing the Redskins. During the preseason game. The Washington football team. I'm sorry. The Washington. They're like, guys, we need a new name. We got to figure this thing out. Boy, this is hard. Let's go with football team. And where we are. No, so they were the Washington Red Wolves at first. Oh, were they really? Yes. Yeah, they changed their name to that. But what happened was, it had to be an inside job because someone went and
oh, I saw this. They bought up all the variations of the name.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, wow. So they were going to go with something else. Boy, what kind of I mean,
yeah, I mean, the person that's greedy, that's like, I'm about to capitalize off of this.
Yeah.
So they went and trademarked all of those names. And so they were just like, well, I guess the only option is just call ourselves the Washington football team until, you know,
buy ourselves some time.
Right. Exactly. So we were playing them and it was kickoff. It was kickoff return for us. And they were, no, it was kickoff for us. And they had kickoff return. And I'll never forget it. It's like these two linemen, they build the wall and it was, they were at least like 330, 340. I'm all of like 220.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and so I'm running downfield and there they go. They holding hands, locked hands, just ready to just blast off on me.
Which they're not allowed to do anymore for a reason.
Exactly. Anymore. But man, I was just like, F it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah. And when I got up, I was facing the other way. I didn't know. I went ahead first, and they spun me around.
Sent you back around.
They sent me back around. So I got up. I was like, "Where they at? Oh, they're behind me." You know. But it was funny because after the game, they came and shook my hand. It was like, much respect, man.
Respect, yeah. Wall buster.
Yeah, they were just like, you, man. You don't fear anything, huh? I was just like, nothing at all, man. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
You know, but it was pretty awesome, man.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that was always the craziest guy on the team who would at least keep that job. They throw a lot of people at it, but the guy who would keep going back out there week after week is a wild dude. What's up, Ivan Charbonneau? You know what I'm talking about. But yeah. So, okay. So that makes sense. So you get to this point where it's like mentally the game is slowed down.
Right.
Like now know how to operate. Your body has finally caught up to where you knew it could be, and then you get injured. So that's like, okay. Is it accurate to say that like this, you know, this like depression comes from like realizing you were right there and not getting to kind of like fulfill what you knew you were capable of?
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
And a similar situation is going on right now with all the athletes in the world. You know,
oh man,
they're in the same situation with this pandemic. You know, they work to peak at a certain time, and then they can apply, you know, all of their strengths and efforts to playing the game that they enjoy playing. And so now that they don't get an opportunity to do that, they're gonna have like a self-identity crisis. You know, think about it. Like there's no season. You know, people are losing it. It's just like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? You know, what's next? And I'm just like,
hey,
I got you. I've been through this. You know, I know how to help you get through it. And but I really do, because one thing I survived the suicide attempt. You know, and now that I think about it and I talk about it more, I realize that I did, because you know, we wouldn't be talking if I did not, because I had action. I put a plan together, and I was on the third day, which was the final day of my plan, and you know, it was just something that stopped me from doing it, and it was mindfulness, or practicing meditation. I gave that one last shot, and that was the one thing that actually brought me back to my reality, of my senses. And so, you know, I didn't take my life from that moment on, man. So, you know,
was it a feeling of just like not knowing what to do next, or was it just like so upset it kind of like you know, to your point, like you were saying, like this incredible potential that you were starting to realize being unfilled? Because I know we were catching up beforehand, right? Like a lot of athletes go through this, even if it's just college, or maybe it's like, to your point, like you play 3 years in the pros, like you might've been playing football since you were 5 or 6 in some instances. Everything in your life, your foundational years were building up to this point. And then when the rug is kind of pulled out from underneath you in one way or the other, it's kind of like, whoa. Like my whole identity was kind of wrapped up in me as the football player, me as the athlete. Was it just that, or was it something more?
No, it was a combination of everything that you named, and a little bit more. One, it was just like a lot of pride as well. One, the National Football League was pretty much my first job. Like, growing up, I was fortunate enough to have a father who was an immigrant from Ghana, Africa, and so he was all about owning your own business, and he had his own business, and so he was like, "Come and work, work for me. You coming to work at the business?" And I was like, "Man, I want to play football, Dad. I don't want to do this." And so I wouldn't consider that a job. I just he would pay me pennies to the dollars.
Right.
He's like, you got a roof over your head and everything else. I'm like, come on, Dad, what are you doing? So, for me, it was like my first job. Just the things that I was repeating in my head, this cyclic, like daunting and repetitive saying of like, you let yourself down. You lost your first job. Yeah. Like, you're sorry. Like, what did you do wrong? Like, I can't believe that you did that. Like, you let your family down. You let this. And so that replayed over and over in my head like a broken disc. And like after a while, you start believing it, just like anything. Somebody call you stupid. You don't believe it the first few times, but after a while,
you hear it enough.
You hear it enough. Like you really start questioning yourself. Like, am I really stupid? And so it was like a suggestion, some type of mental suggestion. And so, after a while, I started believing it. Yeah.
Well, and it's so just hearing you kind of describe this, and my wife I know that she's going to say this in the takeaways. She always talks about like, you have a really powerful brain. Not that you're the smartest person, but like when you mentally like hold on to something, you're able to convince yourself that you can either do things or I'm hearing that very much with you.
Correct.
And, from that first kind of explanation of like, hey, I went from a 4.6 to a 4.2 because I knew my body was capable of it. I just had to like do some things and make some changes to like realize that. It almost seems like the same way that positivity and that belief in yourself, you're actually able to like bring it to fruition. On the flip side, it's like when that talk then becomes negative, like your mind is so powerful, and it is for everyone, but for you specifically, it's like that can really become ingrained and like, unfortunately, detrimental, because it's like your self-belief is so critical.
It's very critical. It's the most critical thing to your well-being, to your existence in this world. Everything was created from a mental standpoint, and I always had the mental fortitude and strength, to be able to see myself in a positive and great light. But when that rug was snatched from underneath me, I didn't have a safety net, and I didn't have a mentor. Because what that mentor does, it helps you. It helps with the fall. Because they at least give you some type of lifeline, and get you to think, or like alter your view or have a different vantage point and look at things from 30,000 feet above the ground, as opposed to looking at it from eye level.
Right. Perspective. They can help you kind of put what you're going through, which can feel really intense.
Right.
And give you some perspective, whether from their experience or like being a bit removed from.
Exactly.
I completely agree.
Exactly. And so, I had a issue of trusting people when I was younger. Not that but because I was always about I'm usually the person that gives my trust first, and then you have to mess it up, not the other way around.
Yeah.
But when I got to the league, it was just like as I mentioned before, the emotional intelligence. I was very emotional. So, so if I would have had that emotional intelligence, that's why I harp on the mindfulness and meditation, because you learn how to compartmentalize your thoughts and then your emotions. Because a lot of times, we think we are our thoughts and our emotions. Like, we think that they're one.
Yeah.
But they work separately. So, like, thoughts are just thoughts. Like, every single thought that you have in your head, you don't act upon it. Yeah, because it's so many thoughts, so it's just like So
and I don't know if everyone feels this way, and not to talk about my own meditation practice, but when I do, it's like when I finally quiet down, and I mean the amount of stuff that starts flying through my head. I'm like, oh man, there's a lot going on in here. Like, it's happening while I'm driving to work.
Right.
Like, there's a lot. I need to figure out how to work through some of this stuff.
Right. Exactly. And so, what you have to learn how to do is just get used to allowing that to just flow. The way that I explain it in the book like this as well, but the way that I explain it is, your mind is a fertile garden, right? And you want to plant these seeds in this garden. So those seeds are your mental thoughts, or your mental seeds, or your thought seeds. And once you place this in a fertile garden, you need the next thing, which you use to water flowers. So that water is equivalent to your emotions, your energy in motion, your emotion, energy in motion. So that's your precipitation. And so it's the driving force to make those thoughts become a reality.
Oh, wow. I like that.
And then your actions is like the sun. It sheds light on the thought that's looking to grow. And so now this is where your manifestation and the crystallization comes from, because you've cultivated and you've nurtured, that thought, those emotions, and the action. Yeah. And so now all of a sudden, when things manifest themselves, it was because that's what you were thinking about. Right. And so if you think about if you plant a negative seed, a positive seed, that's what's going to come out.
And like if you have negative energy behind a negative seed, it's like it is going to manifest itself. There's a term I'm looking for that's escaping me at the moment, but oh God,
it's the principles of life that I had an opportunity to go and study. After I was discharged from the game, I got a lot of advice from everyone. Because I was going to go to school to be an orthodontist. My major was business management with a minor in organic chemistry at Georgia Tech.
Just a minor. When I have free time, let me go dabble in some organic chemistry.
Hey man, but that stuff was very, very difficult and very challenging. So but yeah, man, I prided myself on just doing well in the classroom, but. It was these things that I was able to figure out just by breaking things down to its molecular level, and just really understanding it. So I guess it was only right that I went to engineering school, because I've been able to engineer a lot of the things that I didn't understand. So that's how the game came to me, football. So that's how I became who I am. Just really like sit down and analyze things to the point where it's just like where most people stop and like, oh, okay, I got to figure it out. Where I'm still like, no, but you can refine it just a little bit more. If you just look past this and not have this, not have this emotion because you think you figured it out. Like, no, if you see just a little bit more, like it's here, it's right there.
Right.
So that when I speak about the emotional intelligence, if I would have had the emotional intelligence, then I would have been able to excel. Or after I left the game, I wouldn't have taken it so hard.
I see.
And so
so because you mentioned, right, even when you were starting to go through like these really dark times,
mm-hmm.
It sounds like you had already been exposed to mindfulness to some extent. I guess when did that mindfulness enter your life? Or I guess maybe what was the first introduction, but then, when did it really begin to take hold as like a consistent practice in your day to day?
So my dad was a black belt, and one of my uncles, I have two uncles that are actually like really big into meditation. And so,
okay, a black belt in
karate.
Oh, here we go.
Right, karate.
Yeah,
so
Papa Daniels. Right? Do not mess with the Daniels family.
So my dad, he was big into meditation and mindfulness.
Oh, okay.
So I started practicing it in high school. But it never really stuck with me. I just closed my door, and my dad did not like closed doors in his house. But it was funny. So I would sit in my room and meditate, or trying to practice meditation. What I call meditation. He'd be boom, 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 boom. Open your damn door, like Dad, like Dad. I was like, you just disrupted my peace. He's like, whatever.
Get back to
that. Right. And so I try to I practice it. I practice a little bit in college, but it never really stuck. And then when I got to the league, that was my first time going to the monastery.
Yeah.
And
so where was this monastery? Because let me tell you what I envision when I think monastery, and people are going to realize how lowbrow this show is. I immediately go to Ace Ventura 2. Okay, When Nature Calls. I think that's the one. And I think he's in like a Tibetan monastery.
Right.
That's where I go to. So what was your experience with a monastery?
My experience with the monastery was, it was funny. I had that same visual, right? And also when I would watch like Dragon Ball Z, Panda, the Avatar, the Legends of Aang, the Legends of Korra and Aang, and so I watched a lot of karate movies when I was younger, Bruce Lee movies and stuff. And so that's how I envisioned it. So when I went to this monastery, it was just more like, I was like, where's that stuff at? Where is it at? And it's just like, we don't do that here. It's just like, okay, all right. So what do I look for next then? And it was just like...
and this is in the States?
This is in the States. This is in Arkansas. This is in Arkansas. Wow. Yeah, Yaleville. Arkansas, or the Ozark Mountains in Arkansas. Okay. And so, man, I went, and I was like shocked. Like my whole system was shocked. My whole nervous system was shocked. My spirit was shocked. My mental, my body. At one point in time, I was just like, are they trying to brainwash me over here? I was like, they're trying to brainwash me. I was like, oh my God. Because these are the things like when your mind and your body go into shock, and, your spirit goes into shock. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say my spirit, but just more my body and my mind. I was just like, what's going on? So I'm trying to grasp it. And I'm just like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. If I want to take off running, I'm not going to be able to get out. I was just like, oh, I'm trapped here. And so
in the Ozarks.
In the Ozarks. But after your mind and your nerves, they settle. Then, like you actually start attuning to the vibration that's happening at the monastery. And, I was given a book and told that meditation begins in 2 hours. Go and read the book. And the book was, the book, if I can, I know our viewers were not able to see it, but the book was about this big. It was about the size of
an old flip phone type, right?
Yes, of an old flip phone type. And man, like I sped through that book like, ooh, all right, what's the next book? and the instructions were read it again. I was like, what? Like, what am I missing? I was like, I just read the book.
Yeah.
Like, read it again. So I ended up reading that same book 3 times. And I was like, what's going on? Like, what is this, man? And so meditation came, and it's time for us to eat. And at this time, I was eating all types of meat, steak, chicken, and everything else. And so now I go there, and everything is vegan, plant-based.
Plant-based, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, how am I going to digest this food?
Oh, yeah.
This looks like oatmeal, just repackaged or redressed, and it was a shock for me. But after about the 3rd day is when my nerves settled, and I started looking around like, okay, well, this is what the monastery is like. Okay, I got a little taste of it. And so the first time I was there, I stayed for 3.5 days. And on the 3rd day, like, everything settled. So when I went back out into the world, I could feel the change in me. I was just like, wow, that was different. I was like, all right, cool, that was different. Will I go back? I was like, I'll give it another try.
Yeah.
I give it another try. And then I went back the second time, and this is when I was playing. And then I went back the 3rd time after I got injured. Okay. And that's when
the injury that ended the career.
No, this is my 2nd year. So
okay.
Yeah, my 2nd year. So I went back, and I was just like, oh. So right before the injury that ended the career, I went to the monastery right before camp started. And I was just like, I am dialed in. I was like, I'm ready to go. It's like, anybody want some of me?
Zen on these fools for 1,000 yards.
I'm going to zen on these, And so, and I was just like, I got it together. This is awesome. I am about to make this happen. And, because I bought into the character that I envisioned myself to be. And when it didn't pan out, man, that's when I just had a self-identity crisis. So, for me, just being at the monastery, it allowed for me to go back to my core, and when I lost myself, I had to go and find myself. So I had an opportunity. I was afforded an opportunity to go to a monastery and spend time with myself because I didn't know who I was at the time. Yeah. And so if I did not have the opportunity, then you wouldn't have the opportunity to be speaking to me today. So, I was very fortunate for that, to be able to go there. And so, and spend time at the monastery. So, so the monastery was not what I envisioned, but it was actually more than what I envisioned. And a lot of times, the picture that we are, I guess, fed about what a monastery looks like is different from the experience. So
like most things, really.
right, exactly. Everything in the movie happens just like that, and in real life, it's just like it's a long snap.
You're gonna have to keep coming back to it.
Exactly, and so but man, it's like it's the most tranquil, like, fulfilling thing ever in my life. I'm just I'm just extremely thankful for being able to spend time at a monastery. I thought it was weird. A lot of people thought it was weird in the beginning, but now I'm like, if you don't go to, and you don't have to go to a monastery. I went to a monastery because that was my life, and that was my challenges that I had to face. But now that I had an opportunity to go there, I put a book together with a program so people do not have to go there. I've done the work. I've done the work, and so now I have all the answers to whatever questions that they have and whatever that they're going through. I mean, I was explaining to one of my clients who was an Olympian, and I was just explaining to him how, you know, at one point I was reading all these books. I was like, you can really do this? You know, I was just like, to reading the book and then putting the book down and actually going and practicing what they said in the book.
Yeah.
And then from there, I would do that. And then I would go back to the headmaster monk at the monastery and ask questions about what I read in this book.
Yeah.
You know, and then about my experience that I had. And he was like, the brother's maturing. And that was it. And I was just like, okay, like like anything else, you know, it's no frivolous talk. And and it was just like, the brother's maturing. Then afterwards, he'll help, he'll assist, you know, for you to go a little further and see more and more things, you know. But it was a process, and but it allowed for me to grow as an individual. So once I was able to get the knack of practicing meditation, then I was just like, whoa, I got it in me. I was like, okay. You know, I could, you know, but I definitely still call and go to the monastery because they allow for me to discover my gift. And so I always pay homage and always go and do service, you know, like service for the world, because that's what I'm doing. You know, if I want to make a difference in the world, I have to make a difference in myself. So the way that I do that is by, you know, doing these things that keep you grounded, that will allow for your branches to grow. As I'm using the metaphor as a tree. I go back to the monastery to keep me grounded, so I can grow, you know, and grow as big as I want to grow, and make a difference in people's lives, and, you know, help athletes, you know, just discover that ultimate self of them, because it's in you. It's just nobody looks past the surface level. You know, after you close it, you're only familiar with closing your eyes when you go to sleep, not when you're conscious. And so when you're able to close your eyes and still be conscious, then that's where all the magic happens, man.
Yeah. Well, gosh, and I got a couple questions for you there, but, you know, I think one thing that I would love your take on is, I think there's growing awareness, at least in, you know, our society, around the idea of mindfulness or meditation. And maybe we could even talk about, are the two one and the same, or are they two very distinct things? But I feel like a lot of folks, and I would put myself in this camp, like, well-intentioned, I don't make it stick. Either my routine changes or things pop up in my life, you know, to where it's like, I was on a run for 6 days and now it's like I stopped for 2, and then it all falls apart. So, you know, for you, I'd be interested to hear, you dabbled with it in high school, you dabbled in college, and in the NFL, you started going to the monastery. What was it that finally made it stick for you? Like, how did you make it a practice that was going to be like consistently incorporated into your life versus like the way a lot of people deal with it, you know, doing it for a couple days and then falling off and coming back in a couple weeks or months? Like, how did you make that stick?
So real quick, for me, it stuck with me because it was the one thing that saved my life. As I mentioned before, like, so I had a plan to blow my head off, you know, with my shotgun. And I had loaded my gun that day. And I ended up calling everybody. I called 7 people in total. And the last person I called was the guru at the monastery. And I told him, I just started lamenting, like, very dramatically, like, I'm going through this, I'm about to kill myself, I'm about to do this. He was just like, are you done? I was like, what? He just minimized everything I just said.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
no, you wax on, wax off me right now. I am not, today is not the day.
Today is not the day. I'm about to take my life. He's like, are you done? I was like, what? And so he was just like, meditate. Click, and held the phone. I was just like, what? Like, let's start crying. I was like, no one cares. And so as I'm walking back to my room to go and you know, act out this suicide, it was my meditation pillow. And I just made a commitment to myself that I was going to sit there for 1 hour and you know, do this meditation because I was like, how in the F is this gonna help me?
Yeah.
And that's what I did, man. And so when I did that at the last 3 minutes, and I know it was the last 3 minutes because I opened my eyes to look at the timer because I was going through a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I closed my eyes for those last 3 minutes, and I had to be like 2 minutes left. But in those 2 minutes, like I was having trouble with my legs in the crisscross position. And so when those last 2 minutes, I just did a deep inhale, just sit and be still. And my legs just flopped to the ground. The outside of my knees just hit the ground.
Really?
And, yeah. And like, it was like an energy. It just shot up through my body, just like, whoop, and straight into my head. And it was just like, whoop. And I was just in a whole nother space. It was like, where am I? I was like, oh, shit. All I do, open my eyes? No, keep them closed. Just like, oh, am I here? Oh, my goodness. Don't get too excited. Because if you get too excited, you'll lose it. You know, like, oh, don't be too docile because you'll lose it as well. Just like, okay, I'm here. It's like, all right. And then that was the first time I could really hear myself talk. So then when that happened, the time went.
A breakthrough that day.
I had a breakthrough that day.
Wow.
I had a breakthrough that day. And so when that happened, the timer went off. And when the timer went off, I was like, wait. You know, and it sucked me out of like in a dream.
Yeah.
And tears start streaming down my face. I was like, what was that? What was that? And so that at that moment was the moment where I didn't even think about harming myself ever again.
Wow.
And so for me, that was when the habit of doing this every day, because I was like, whatever that was,
there was something else that you could now.
Yeah, I was like, whatever that was, that's what I want for the rest of my life. And so that's what allowed for my habit to cement itself. But for others, it's like this. My uncle used to always tell me this, who was also like one of the enlightened ones as well. He was just like, everything in moderation, man. Don't beat up on yourself just because you can't make it. If you can, it's a mindset. If you can meditate, if it's 7 days out of the week and you can meditate 4 days out of those 7, then you're doing something. You're doing better than the people that's not even making an attempt to do it. Yeah. So a lot of times you're always looking to accomplish something, and because that's how our brains are hardwired. Yep. But in meditation, you're not looking to accomplish anything. You're just looking to have an effortless practice of learning how to be able to concentrate, but also just heighten your level of awareness. And so when you can learn how to just sit, because it's almost like 2 ways to meditate. There are many different practices, but there are 2 ways to meditate: by focusing on one thing only,
okay,
or witnessing. And so the witnessing is like allowing for things to pass. As they come in, they go.
Right.
And so a lot of times when you see all of your thoughts going like, did I leave the stove on? Oh, man, did I leave the lights on? Oh shit, I left the iron on. It may fall. Oh my God, And so you have to let those thoughts pass.
Yeah.
You witness that, and once you get into the role of witnessing, then you start to be able, then that grows into you witnessing, who you are and the character that you are and how you interact with the world. And then the other one is just focusing on one thing. Like your brain is constantly, it's just all of these things, it's a barrage of thoughts, coming in. And so you have to let those things pass, but stay focused on that one thing. And if you can stay focused on that one thing when everything is going away, then guess what? Everything else dissolves. And you focus on that one thing. And when you can focus on that one thing, it's like you bring that into view. And once you focus on the object or whatever it is that you want to focus on, then the emotions that come in right behind it and just make that become a reality, because that's what you focus all your energy on, that one thing. So yeah.
Oh man, see, that was a really good explanation. Well, and maybe we can kind of round it out here because I would love for people to be aware of the work that you're doing with athletes,
Mhm.
but I also think, while athletes are such a good example of someone who ties their personal identity into, I don't know, maybe this role or this job that they have, right?
Right.
There's so many other ways that people do that. It could be their corporate job. It could
Correct.
be a role within their family. I mean, you name it, right?
Right.
There's probably such a broad appeal to what you're doing with athletes that I would love to hear a little bit about how you are helping athletes, both from a mindfulness standpoint. I can't remember if we said this before we started or while we were recording. Be prepared to kind of make a transition, into like that next chapter, other
Right.
potential avenues of their life.
Right. So the way that I help the athletes out is just by assessing where they are right here, right now, at this very moment in time.
Hmm.
Like, stop everything that you're doing. Just freaking stop. I use other words.
Yeah, it's okay.
Because I like it's even though like I like when you see me, I smile a lot. I just have this jovial personality. But at the same time, when it's time to get serious, I throw a couple curse words in there just so everybody's energy can change. Just like sit the fuck down. It's time to get to work.
Yeah.
Because like
it can be a really effective tool when used sparingly and at the right time with the right tone. I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. So because I just want people to know that, all right, I'm serious right now.
Mm-hmm.
And take every single moment of me being serious as a learning opportunity. Yeah. Because I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm not going to go through this again. So get it, focus right now. Like, you focus all your energy. However, if you feel disturbed right now, use that energy to focus. And so that's what I do. I penetrate the athlete first, and just tell them to stop, penetrate them, and then like, who are you? What do you want to do? Where are you going in life? Like, what do you want to accomplish? Why'd you come to me? Like, well, what is it that you're seeking that you think you can find in me that you can't find in yourself? And then from there, I just give them, we're doing assessment tests, and I break everything down for them. Like, there's nothing that's written on paper. I mean, there's certain things that are written on paper, but all this stuff is inside of me. So I'm just like, okay, okay. I can look at somebody and be like, okay, this is what you want. Oh, okay, that's simple. Or tell me what you have going on. What do you need? What are you looking for? And just like, okay, are those your needs? Okay, all right.
Is it almost like that objective mentor role that we were kind of talking about in a sense as well?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, because I'm a high performance mentor. So basically, anything that a CEO, athlete, doctor, just lawyer, accountant, anybody that is in the game of life. Basically, we're all athletes in this game of life, and so basically what I do, like you share with me your problems. I'm like a doctor, basically, or like a doctor or a trainer. Mm-hmm. You come to me and you tell me what's bothering you, what you have going on, and all right, so we'll put a concoction together, or we'll put the right type of medicine that you need to cure, whatever ailments that you have going on, whether they're mental, or physical, or spiritual. And so, that's how I work with the athlete, and also just the CEOs, the athletes of business.
And they're a little competitive as well.
Most definitely. So I hear, but yeah, so that's what I do. And so eventually, I'll work with athletes. That's phase one. And then phase two will be like the military,
oh, wow. Yeah.
Going.
Man, what a great, I was just talking to a few folks about that. The past two guests actually just coincidentally were in the military. One of which was like a survivor of a catastrophic injury. And I mean, which just is like, there's so many layers to that. The identity of being in the military, and then where do you go? And then like now your physical body has changed, and like you had your identity wrapped up in all the things you could easily do before. So man, that's, I imagine there's such like a group of people to serve there.
Yeah. So, and then after that, then it trickled down to the kids at some point in time. But yeah, that's how I work with the athletes, man. Just that little sequence right there. It's the same sequence, and it's not difficult because really they are human beings, and I'm answering their human needs, because we pretty much think of the same thing. Everybody wants to have a prosperous and joyful life and want to be happy, and they're looking for success. Mm-hmm. And so when you understand those principles, then you understand like, oh, okay, their needs. Okay. And so sometimes it takes, if somebody's going to a destination, they'll take the highway. Some people will take the back way. So we figure out which way is best for you. And then, like, hey, this is your assessment. These are the things that you need to work on. And I guarantee you, if you work on this, this will happen. Like,
you got to put in the work.
That's it. You got to put in the work, There's no pill that we can take, even though people are working on it. But, but it's a short-term effect. If you want this to be everlasting, you put in the work, because then your muscle memory will take over. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it. Like when you mentioned, like, how do people, get into it? It's just like working out. You do it on the days when you don't want to do it. But the only difference with working out, you can look in the mirror and see the physical change.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, like I'm going to do some more curls for the girls, exactly. Curls for the girls, but with the mindfulness and the meditation, it's like a subtle change. Mm. And if you're not aware of that subtle change, then you're thinking that you're not doing anything. A lot of my clients come to me and like, I can't do this meditation shit, man. And, I'll fall asleep every time I do it. Yep. Like, yeah, it's just like, I was like, I used to fall asleep every time I did it, but it's just that coming back to it. And in your mind, you're like, this is not doing anything. But if you can do it, I would say this, for anybody that's listening, you want to know, do a full 7 days, commit to doing a full 7 days of meditation. And it can be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It can actually be 30 seconds. Like you can do 30 seconds every day where you just sequester yourself, from everyone. You go to a closet, meditation pillow, bathroom, shower, 30 seconds where you just focus on one thing. Or you can just be like, thank you, universe, thank you, God, thank you, Allah, thank you, whatever religion that you practice. You can just do that, and what happens is just kind of get into a rhythm of using that 30 seconds to focus on you, and so if you can do it consistently for 7 days, and then stop. Don't do it anymore. You'll be able to see that. You'll feel that subtle. Because you'll be like, man, I was sharper last week.
Right.
Like, okay. Like, what was that? And so from there, your brain automatically starts doing the process of elimination. And then it goes back to like, okay, I was meditating for 30 seconds. Like, but did that shit really work?
Right.
And so that curiosity makes you go back and do it again.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, oh, wow, shit. And so what a lot of people do is when they first start practicing meditation or mindfulness is they listen to, well, I wouldn't say they listen to, but mainstream says you should practice for 5 minutes, but 5 minutes is like going to the weight room and lift 225 pounds on your very first day. And you haven't even lifted the weight. So now you get the weight, like,
Right.
And you're straight in, and your eye pops out of the socket like poop, like oh. So you put the weight up, and you're like, I'm not doing this shit
Not
no
for me,
more.
too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so what you don't understand is there are steps to this. There are levels to this. And so just like if you can, and that's why I say I've always broken things down to the molecular level. Like, and so we live our lives from moment to moment. And so those moments, we measure those moments by seconds, but if you want to live like a flower, it's like milliseconds or tenth of a millisecond, But as humans, we measure things by moment, which those moments become seconds, and then those seconds becomes minutes, and minutes becomes hours, and so forth. And so how I break it down to people is just like, if you can focus on doing something for 30 seconds and master that, then you can move on to the next thing. And so now you can move on from 30 seconds to 40 seconds to 50 seconds to 60 seconds. So you can master something for 60 seconds. What does that equate to? 1 minute.
Yep.
So now it equates to 1 minute. So now you have mastered being able to focus your attention on something for 1 minute. So now that you're able to do that, now you can go from 1 minute to 2 minutes to 3 minutes to 4 minutes to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, it builds from there.
Yep.
And so
I like that because it's like it's so easy to get defeated by the magnitude of where you want to be. I was just talking about this with Galen on last week's episode. But it's like if you can break it down into smaller, achievable milestones or maybe goals, however you want to put it.
Right.
It's like, there's like some strength that you can pull from realizing like, no, I can achieve these little steps. And like each week it's a little bit more, jogging's a great example, right? Like, start with a short distance and a slow pace, and each day, each week, increase it a little bit. And before you know it, like that 1 mile jog is a 3 mile jog.
Exactly.
And what took you 30 minutes, like you'll be amazed to see now takes you 25. And, and then to your point, something that I think is really interesting is because the improvement is gradual and not as easily measured. It's like once you kind of get addicted to that improved feeling, if you pull it away, you can kind of start to see some of that delta, like, oh man, I really thought clear last week, or, I had more focus and I don't feel as sharp. And that in itself can kind of be like, well, I want to get back to that. I want to get more of that.
Exactly.
So that, I think that's a great point. Well, man, I gotta be honest, man. I thank you so much, like for being so open with your story.
You're welcome.
Something that's as intensely personal as that. The fact that you're willing to share it, I can't even imagine how many people it's probably touched in ways that you maybe didn't even anticipate. Folks who feel the same, because like you said, a very jovial person, a person who saw incredible success academically, athletically. But we're all people, like you said.
Right.
And there's so many folks who just kind of suffer in silence, which is heartbreaking. And so I think for someone like yourself, who's a strong person physically, but also mentally, to be willing to share like, hey man, I went through this too. There's a path out of it. And look, I've done the research. I've done the work. I've put it in. You want to have it consolidated so you can like dive in. Like, man, I think that's such a powerful way to help people. So thank you for the work that you're doing and being willing to share that, man.
Oh man, thank you so much for just having me here and just allowing me to share that. I just like I understand my purpose now in life.
Amazing.
And the vision is so clear. I mean, like
that's what everyone's looking for, right?
That's what everyone is looking for.
Yeah.
I think that the thing is that the vision, we lack the vision because we are trying to get there so quickly. We're trying to get there so quickly. And so you lack the vision because if you move, it's like if you're in a car, you're trying to read a sign that's standing still and you're going 100 miles per hour. It's like, like I missed it. Okay. All right.
Right.
So same thing with your life, and it's not until when we look within ourselves and we become attuned to the rhythm and the vibration within, then we start realizing like, whoa, like, man, you can go 110 miles per hour, and you'll be able to read a sign, that's at a standstill, and just look at it, like, boom, and move on to the next. Like, that sign said X, Y, and Z. It's just being able to train yourself to see the things that you never trained yourself to see before. It's simple, and when I talk about it, I speak about it from like the most effortless point of view, because I've seen it, and I've seen it so many times. It's like I don't exert that much energy whenever I'm speaking about it, because this is who I am, and this is me. Like I'm fortunate to be in this lifetime. My name is Prince. My dad gave me this name, so I'm living into it. And I'm being what I think a prince should be. And that's to help the world out when we're in a place of need of help. And if I can do my part, I'm not like, and I'll say these two things. I'm not trying to be a savior or a conqueror, because those two individuals, they get killed. And so I'm not trying to do that, but what I am trying to do is my part, so if you get stuck going left, going right, and you feel like there's no other way out, like I guarantee you there is another way out. I have the remedy and the answer. I've seen it, I've been exposed to it, and I don't mind sharing that vulnerable side of me, because, like, what else do we? Life keeps going, and so what do they say? Some of the wealthiest people are in the grave, So I'd rather enjoy my wealth while I'm alive, and my wisdom, and share it with other people, so they can enrich themselves. Because as I mentioned before, we're all looking for prosperity, success and love, and just want to be the best versions of ourselves. And so I've been able to tap into it. So I'm okay with sharing it. And yeah, so
it's awesome, man. Well, and we appreciate it, and it's just, you never know the way in which it's going to impact people that you might not ever get to interact with directly, so it's so cool to have a platform to be able to spread it. So on that note, the book, one more time, it's Mindfulness for the Ultimate Athlete. Master the balance between power and peace.
Yes. And you can find it on my website at www.princedanielsjr.com. And you can find my Instagram handle and everything else as well. So, but yes, that is the book. It took me 6 years to write it from start to finish. Wow. Yeah. And so, like, man, it's just, now that it's here, it's just like, it's a dream come true. But, like I mentioned before, well, I don't think I mentioned this before, but on one hand, I'm astonished and grateful. But on the other hand, just like, I disciplined myself for this. I focused and all of my energies on this, and I'm not surprised that it's here.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And so, you find that balance of like celebrate, but then get back to work.
Yeah. Short-lived.
Right.
6 years, and then it's like, all right, a little bit of time to celebrate.
Right.
I gotta get back to the grind.
Exactly. Like, usually my celebration is very small. Like, I go play some video games or something. Like, this is cool, man. And my wife is just like, go to bed. I'm like, okay. I'm just excited, So
play again in another 6 years.
Right. Exactly, man. It's just these little things that just allow for me to stay grounded. Like, I just call myself a semi yogi, or like a semi yogi, where like I maintain the balance of enjoying the human life of things, but I also enjoy the enlightenment, or the being able to enrich myself, enhance myself, and reach my full potential, but also not be too alienated to like when I come back and I speak to people, they're like, okay, I don't understand anything that you're saying because I don't relate to you at all. Like you're in Planet Nebulous and I don't get it. You know? So that's why you always have to have that balance, because then that way I'm able to speak to people and relate to them. Because if I were to take you to the monastery with me and you were going to speak to the guru, you would be like, okay, Prince, you're going to have to break this down for me because this stuff is not making any sense, you know. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And, you know, I understand that I am the bridge or the liaison. And so I understand my role and I understand my purpose, and, you know, I look to share it with everyone. So.
Oh man. Awesome. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to get the book. I'm excited.
Thank you, man. Yeah. And if you get the book, and if
those core exercises better be in there. If they're not, you are getting one salty email.
No, they are, man.
Awesome.
They're in there. And then also the 6-week program.
Oh, cool.
With the book. Yeah. I just dive in deeper into the book. And like, you know, you can just openly ask me, like, why did you write the book? What was your intention behind writing it? And so forth. And like, why did Calvin write the book?
Yeah.
Why did he write the foreword to the book and so forth? So it's just, you know, we just dive in deeper, and it's a really good price right now. It's like $47.
Awesome.
You know? So
I'm gonna link to it. I'm gonna link to the website, and then I'll link to Instagram, and that way people can follow you and keep up with you, man. Yeah,
man. I mean, I'm just like, it's time, man. So whoever wants it, let's go. Like I have it, you know, like. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, like, I'm just thank you so much, Ken, again.
Yeah,
you know,
dude. Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Just coming from a humble place and just say, you know, I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. We'll definitely talk again soon.
That sounds good, my brother.